What's up, you guys? It's JJ'sGTLMS. Today I have a very different video for you. Today we will talk about the Man of Steel, otherwise known as Superman. Today me and my friends JLP and TheRealSuperman will talk about the new DC Universe Reboot by James Gunn and Peter Safran, and what we think Superman needs in this universe to be a good adaptation of the most iconic character in all of fiction. TheRealSuperman and JLP make great content on TikTok and YouTube, so consider checking their content out. Their links are in the description. One aspect that I think has been missing from many Superman adaptations is his extensive world building. With the new Superman teaser, we got to see the Fortress of Solitude and the Superbots. I still can't believe that we're going to have a full Daily Planet cast, Crypto, a good-looking Fortress of Solitude, and the Superbots in live action. While what we've been shown is nothing less than super, I think Superman's world building can be brought to even further lengths. We should see the statue of Superman's Kryptonian parents, a trophy room, a supercomputer, the bottled city of Kandor, the super weapons room, interplanetary habitat, and the super science lab. Superman's world building doesn't even end there. We should see the Star Labs, Ace of Clubs, where Bilbo Lebowski works at, who is Superman's biggest fan, Stryker's Island, the prison in Metropolis, the Suicide Slums, and Steelworks. The reason I focus on the world building so much is because many of the Superman adaptations have Metropolis and the Fortress of Solitude look very boring and with little to no personality. For example, the Fortress of Solitude doesn't really have anything in it in most of the adaptations, and Metropolis has looked like a real life city and didn't really look like Metropolis at all. And I think that the DCU can improve on this, and they already shown that they have with the latest Superman trailer. But they can improve on this not only for Superman, but for all the DC heroes. We can see iconic locations like the Batcave in its full might, the Flash Museum, Themyscira, Gorilla City, etc.
Superman is one of the most underrated martial artists in the DC Universe, being trained by some of the best, being Wildcat, the DC Universe's best boxer, Wonder Woman, Mongol, and Batman, the widely regarded best of the best. His skill in combat is widely underrated and limited to one adaptation, and because of that, he has the reputation of barely knowing how to throw a punch. Superman in the comics has been shown to use pressure points and pure martial arts skill to win fights. The DCU should also showcase Superman's combat prowess to show why he is DC's strongest hero.
Superman, the most powerful being on planet Earth.
I think that we should see and explore more of Superman's rogues gallery in the DCU, and just in general, because he has a lot of interesting characters. Obviously, Lex Luthor is the best, but we've gotten Lex, Zod, and Doomsday for quite a long time. There are really great character dynamics he has with a lot of his villains, like Bizarro, and the whole idea of being opposite or being misunderstood. Mongol, and the idea of power and oppression, and Superman being a champion of the oppressed. Parasite, the idea of taking and Superman giving. Brainiac, both Superman and Brainiac preserve, but preserve for different reasons. So there are just a lot of interesting emotional beats that you can have with these villains. And also, they're really fucking cool, so I'd like to see them involved.
Superman needs to have nuance in the DCU. There are a lot of misconceptions about Superman's character that come from the general audience and even some Superman fans. The current discourse about Superman comes from both sides that flanderize the character due to a lack of knowledge on the source material. There are a lot of people who think Superman is boring because of this, or that he is a one-dimensional character because of the lack of depth to his character in some adaptations that they watched. But this is far from true when referring to the source material in the comics. Superman's quality as a character doesn't solely come from being the most iconic, most powerful, or most hopeful superhero. Superman isn't just a good character because he's simple. He isn't simple at all. Superman is not a character that only feels happiness and he's not a perfect person. Superman suffers from survivor's guilt, perfectionism, and eternal loneliness. He always feels like an outcast because no matter how hard he tries, he can't be truly human or truly Kryptonian. He always feels like he can't fit in with both worlds. This has caused Superman to struggle with his sense of identity. One of his greatest fears is that he will outlive everyone because he is stated to be different from other Kryptonians. He will never die. Superman's perfectionism stems from being regarded as the greatest hero, not only on Earth, but in the entire universe. People ask for his help throughout the universe, and he is afraid of what will happen when he fails to save someone. He fears what will happen if he doesn't live up to the expectations of his own legacy. If the DCU can explore even a little bit of Superman's perfectionism and his loneliness, this will definitely be the best Superman adaptation.
And it will likely change a lot of people's minds about Superman's character. Bring a lot of casual fans into the fandom of Superman. And a lot of people will realize that he is not boring.
When it comes to fight scenes in the DCU, Superman, especially when it comes to fighting in cities like Metropolis, should prioritize the lives of civilians and move things to a less populated area instead of remaining in one place. Something that we get glimpses of in the new Superman trailer. If a building is falling, he should try to stop it. If a tanker is coming, he should stop it instead of moving out the way, unlike someone. They shouldn't sacrifice epic content for the sake of that, though. Which, as we see in the trailer, they aren't sacrificing epic content for the sake of Superman prioritizing lives. We see Superman saving people regardless of the fact that he's fighting a giant kaiju.
Superman to me has a lot of variety of powers that don't really get used too much outside of comic books, so I would love to see more of that. I think that's what makes him an interesting character, especially seeing him use them in different ways and in different varieties. Like honestly, we rarely see his freeze breath outside of most animated adaptations, so that'd be really cool just to see variety of powers like microscopic vision, his infrared vision, things of that sorts.
Expanding on the real Superman's point about Superman's powers and abilities, it is important to me that Superman is powerful in this universe. Superman shouldn't immediately lose to kryptonite, red sun, or magic every time he encounters it, especially if it's only a small shard of kryptonite, a little bit of red sun energy, or like a weak magic user that Superman should just be able to beat up. Even though these elements weaken Superman, they aren't automatic win cons for defeating him. That is a misconception. In the comics, Superman consistently pushes through his weaknesses and is still able to use some of his power. Kryptonite and red sun energy should be rare, just like they are in the comic books. Wealthy characters like Lex Luthor and Bruce Wayne should be able to require more kryptonite than others, and the only times other characters get kryptonite that is being sold to the highest bidder. This will only make the story better because it forces writers to be creative with giving him challenges instead of just throwing out an easy solution. Superman is consistently stated to be the strongest hero in DC and one of the fastest and has it beat proven. I'm not expecting adaptations of Superman or adaptations of any comic book character to be as powerful as their comic book counterpart. That's ridiculous. But he should be strong enough to justify being Superman, and he shouldn't struggle to lift planes or buildings. This will only make the story better because it will stop people from looking at it and saying, hey, Superman is just weak now, and we're making Superman a lot weaker just for our story to work. Instead, you can give Superman challenges that actually reflect his power level, or more importantly, his character, his mental state.
What we have here is a rare opportunity for me to cut loose and show you just how powerful I really am.
We should see more of Metropolis's heroes, because Superman is the superhero, but as he says himself, he is for the world. And one of the great things about having other heroes in Metropolis, we get to see Superman take a leadership role and people look towards him. We get to see how the status quo changes around him and how the world reacts to him, because normal people are taking up the idea of being a hero by his presence alone. And there are a lot of interesting characters like John Henry Irons, Steel, who was inspired by Superman after, the whole death of Superman debacle. And then there's also different lesser known heroes like Jose Delgado. And then you have obviously the Super Family. So just a whole lot of just really interesting, cool characters that can show up. And there could be some interesting stories that could come about.
Expanding on the combat skills and the villains portion of the video, Superman needs to stay alive in the DCU. DC, please do not adapt the death of Superman again in the DCU. Superman has thousands of stories to use, and the death of Superman already has too many adaptations, with some people believing that My Adventures with Superman will adapt the story. We don't need to see that again, and it will be a waste of a Superman movie, in my opinion. This also applies to General Zod's stories. We don't need to see the first time Superman meets Zod. We already saw that in Superman 2 and Man of Steel. A simple way to ignore Zod in this universe is to say that Superman already fought him, that he's in the Phantom Zone. Especially since we know that Superman in this universe has a couple years, maybe several years as a hero. It will be easy to just say, hey, he already fought Zod, he's already defeated him. Similar to how in the Batman movie of 2021, we get to see that Batman already faced off Joker and some other Arkham rogues before the events of that movie, as he was in year 3. I wouldn't be opposed to Zod showing up in a smaller role in a movie, but we have enough of Zod in Superman adaptations, especially as the main villain. As for Doomsday, I don't think we should see him at all. Brainiac, Mongol, and Bizarro are all worthy characters for the main villain treatment of a Superman trilogy for a good 4 Superman movies, since Lex Luthor will be the main villain of this Superman movie. The second one could easily go to Brainiac. Superman fans have been wanting Brainiac for a long time. Then the third could be Mongol, and then the fourth movie could easily be Bizarro. They could do a fourth, which please, Superman deserves it, but that's neither here nor there. For the combat feels portion, I think it's okay if Superman doesn't start with having combat feels in the first movie, but since this is a cinematic universe, even a universe that will also include animation and games, oddly enough, we should see scenes of him learning martial arts from Batman and Wonder Woman. This will be a good way to show his dynamic with the DC Trinity, especially since they are best friends in the comics. One thing that I'm worried about is the DCU treating Superman like a rookie compared to the other heroes. Superman shouldn't be portrayed like that because he is one of the founding members of the Justice League in the comics, and he is the face of DC. This is the same character that teamed up with Batman and Robin before the League was formed, and inspired Robin to become Nightwing. We know that Superman will have some experience in this universe, but I hope that he will be one of the first heroes of his generation, so that his interactions with other heroes will be similar to the comics instead of treating him like a kid that doesn't know what he's doing. Especially since Batman will have Damian Wayne as Robin in his first movie in the DCU, Superman should have similar experience to Batman. In the comics, Batman and Superman start their hero career in the same year. Superman team-ups are fine, but he should not depend on other superheroes. He should stand on his own, like the character always has, and be treated with respect. Many people believe that Superman is a terrible leader due to adaptations, but this is a misconception. Superman is a good strategist and a great martial artist. Superman is the first hero of this generation, and he started a new heroic age which inspired many characters to become heroes and fight for a better tomorrow. The new Justice League has a rotating leadership role, and he has been in a leadership position from time to time. Superman is a great people person and is a competent leader who started the charge against Brainiac in the Panic in the Sky storyline. Even outside the Justice League, he is no novice at leading. From the Super Family to the Authority, he has plenty of experience. The heroes in the DC Universe trust him so much because of his great leadership qualities, including his strategy and unbreakable morality. Lastly, the Man of Steel is a top-tier aura farmer. When he flies in the sky, everyone looks up and cheers. When he approaches evildoers, they crap their pants. When he's around other heroes, they feel important and unimportant by his mere presence. When he approaches Darkseid, the embodiment of evil itself, he gains Darkseid's respect and his fear. When he approaches the concept of death itself, he inspires it. No matter what threats Superman may face, with or without his powers, small or huge in scale, Superman will always help those in need, because there isn't a job too big or too small for Superman, the symbol of hope. That's all for our DCU Superman video. What did you think of the video? Is there anything you guys would like to see in the new reboot that I didn't add? Let me know in the comments down below. If you like Superman from the movies and shows and would like to get into the comics, I recommend reading these comics. All of these are different takes on Superman's origin story, and you don't need to know anything about the character before reading it. I'm a huge fan of Marvel, DC, and Star Wars, so if you enjoy those franchises, consider pressing the subscribe button. Have a super day.